So, Andrew Tate, great to have you here.
Thank you,
People are so terrified when talking about Harry and Meghan because they're worried that they're going to be accused of racism. You're clearly not worried about that.
No, I'm not worried about that. I refuse to live in an absolute fantasy, and people are dodging around the true issue. I'm a person of color myself, but I don't think that's why I'm inspired to speak the truth. The fact that racism is being used as a justification for the fact that she isn't liked by the majority of people is a cop-out. It's not the case. She does not garner any kind of racism in day-to-day life. She's less dark-skinned than me, and I certainly haven't suffered from any racism. So I don't think race has anything to do with it. I think she's just a dislikable person and is trying to find another excuse for that.
To Tate and his followers, this isn't growth, it's surrender. Tate believes Harry sacrificed his identity to satisfy someone else's vision of what his life should be. He points the finger at Meghan Markle, arguing that Harry's choices aren't just emotional, they're reactionary, guilt-ridden, and the result of abandoning personal strength in favor of appeasement. He even calls Meghan the power player, suggesting that she holds emotional and public control over Harry's actions, turning a once powerful prince into a compliant partner. Is this just classic Tate provocation? Maybe. But the uncomfortable truth is this: millions of men agree with him. His words echo through a growing community of young men who feel like they've been ignored by mainstream media, punished for being assertive, and silenced for having traditional values. To them, Prince Harry isn't just a royal, they see him as a warning. But critics have a lot to say in return. They argue that real masculinity isn't about shutting down emotion, it's about channeling it constructively. They say Harry's public vulnerability takes courage, not weakness. That stepping away from a toxic system to protect your wife and children is noble, not cowardly. They point out that Andrew Tate himself is a controversial figure, with a brand built on shock value, ego, and extreme views that oversimplify complex issues.
For people to treat her that way.
And this fits into one of your bigger narratives, doesn't it? Which is that you're very worried that men today seem to be embracing the idea of being victims. And you say that one of the reasons that you are a resilient human being is because you have lived through trauma, but that trauma actually propelled you to success rather than bringing you down to victimhood.
Yeah, the baseline of masculinity is that bad things are going to happen to you, and you're going to absorb them, and you're going to use them and to grow into a more competent individual. If you look at what society expects of men and what even females expect of men, they expect a man of competence. And for you to be competent, you have to have lived through some things. To be good at being a man, you have to have had a hard life. If you look at any superhero, his life was hard. This is the reality of it. And I think that the demasculinization of men is a genuine plague we are suffering with in the West. And Harry, in many ways, he's ended up a beacon for that, you know.
So you think he has been emasculated by Meghan? To
a degree, certainly. He certainly lost a lot of the respect of the people and the people who were fans of the royal family. They've certainly lost a lot of their respect, and Meghan has something to do with that. It's certainly the way she talks about the royal family as a whole, the way she talks to him and about him. There's certainly an element of people waiting for him to stand up and say, listen, that's the royal family. You can't talk that way, or you decided to be with me. There were certain things you were expected to do. But he simply just allows her to demasculinize him in public, and everybody feels uncomfortable with it.
Tate didn't hold back. He claimed, "This is what happens when men are led by emotion, not principle." Prince Harry is no longer a leader, he's being led. That's the core of Tate's argument, that the West is experiencing a cultural collapse of masculinity, and Harry's fall from respected royal to global punchline is symbolic of something much larger. Tate argues that this isn't just a royal family drama, it's a warning. A warning about what happens when men are taught to abandon discipline, reject strength, and submit to ideologies that strip them of their identity. And when you look at Harry's transformation, from a confident young royal to a man constantly apologizing, distancing himself from tradition, and exposing his deepest wounds on camera, it's easy to see why Tate's followers are nodding in agreement. But of course, this take is controversial. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have been at the center of royal controversy for years now, but when Andrew Tate weighs in, it becomes something much bigger. In a recent interview, Andrew Tate didn't just criticize Prince Harry's personal choices. He tied the entire royal drama to what he calls the West's growing crisis, the plague of demasculinization. And whether you love him or hate him, Tate's take is hitting a nerve. According to Tate, Prince Harry is the perfect example of what happens when men lose their masculine core. He says Harry has gone from a disciplined, strong military man to a subdued, silenced version of himself, completely shaped by outside forces, specifically Meghan Markle.
People also feel uncomfortable now to have conversations about race because it's so easy for the MSM to accuse you of racism. Now, I grew up believing in a colourblind world, and that's what I was told at school, that we shouldn't actually obsess about someone's race. Now, if you sign up to that philosophy, you're described as being racist. And it feels to me like Meghan has really utilised that.
Well, there are certain buzzwords. There are certain words you can hide behind in modern society which people are not allowed to challenge. And it allows you to have ideas inside of a vacuum where you can develop these narratives that are never directly contested. And racism's one of them. You're completely right. People can just cry racist and you're not allowed to challenge the idea. And I stand up and say, I do not think that the problems with the public perception of Meghan have anything to do with her skin color whatsoever, especially the fact that she isn't even particularly dark. I find it very strange that a lot of the people who are standing up for her, I've seen many liberals, black liberals from all around the world who are standing up for her saying the race card, the race card. Why would you allow somebody to use the race card when they're not genuinely suffering from it? Doesn't that disrespect all the people who actually suffer from genuine racism?
Well, I think it does.
So do I.
Because there are so many contradictions in that Netflix series, because Meghan actually says the only time she ever experienced racism was someone in LA calling her mum, who actually does have much darker skin than her, the N-word. But actually, Meghan said she had experienced no racism herself, yet she enters the royal family and all of a sudden it helps her victim narrative.
Critics say Andrew Tate is using Harry's situation to push a toxic view of masculinity, one that's outdated, reductive, and rooted in misogyny. They argue that real strength isn't about dominance, but emotional intelligence, vulnerability, and adaptability. Still, the question remains, did Prince Harry lose his way trying to please everyone around him? Or is he simply redefining masculinity in a modern, more emotionally open way? Andrew Tate says no. He believes Harry is proof that men are being systematically weakened by a culture that punishes strength and rewards submission. He calls it a plague and says it's not just affecting men, it's destroying families, nations, and values. Whether you agree or not, it raises a powerful debate.
To suggest that she's been a victim of racism. And actually, if you saw her wedding, I mean, the British public completely embraced her.
Well, if the British public had a problem with race, I don't understand how we have a prime minister who's darker skinned than her, a mayor of London who's darker skinned than her. It doesn't even make sense on any level. I would state that England is one of the least racist nations on the planet. And this is one of the things that's kind of detrimental. The people who are obsessed with race and obsessed with racism, constantly calling it out, they in many ways speak it into existence, because most of us, like you said, like yourself, like myself, we don't see color. We treat people with respect. And if somebody's a likable person, they're a likable person. And if they're a dislikable person, they're a dislikable person. And their color has very little to do with it. It's just kind of ironic that nobody else wants to stand up and point out the glaringly obvious, that nobody looks at her and thinks, wow, look how dark skinned you are. So it's kind of incredible that this is the angle she's going down, and nobody else seems to want to mention it, and I don't understand why.
Is the West losing its men? And is Harry's story a cautionary tale or a necessary evolution? Let me know what you think in the comments. Is Andrew Tate speaking hard truth or pushing a harmful narrative? Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more raw and unfiltered commentary, and ring the bell so you don't miss what comes next. Because when royal drama meets cultural collapse, you better believe the world is watching.